This is the sixth and final video in a series about preparing for Medicare. When Medicare was introduced in 1965, prescription drugs were not covered. However, in December 2003, Medicare Part D was signed into law as an optional program to cover the cost of medications. Unlike Parts A and B, Part D is not mandatory. Medicare Part D is delivered via plans marketed by private companies. Each plan publishes its own list of covered drugs called a formulary. Formularies contain both brand name and generic drugs. A formulary typically will have 2 or more drugs in the most popular categories to allow for more choices. Formularies are not static. Medicare rules allow a plan to make changes to its formulary and drug fees during the year because new drugs become available or the ways to use drugs change. Drug makers change prices, thereby motivating the plan to increase co-payments or co-insurance. Or a brand name drug may be dropped from the formulary, or its price may increase when a generic equivalent becomes available. Plans must provide affected enrollees with a 30-day written notice of any formulary changes. Also, the plans must provide at least a month's supply of the medication under the old rules to help enrollees through the transition. Part D plans divide their formularies into tiers with differing co-payments and co-insurance. Tier 1 includes generic drugs that have low co-payments and co-insurance. Next comes Tier 2, which has preferred brand name drugs. These have higher co-payments and co-insurance. Tier 3 also has brand name drugs, but these are from manufacturers who don't give Medicare much of a price break. As a result, this tier has even higher co-payments and co-insurance. Finally, the highest co-payments and co-insurance are for the specialty drug tier for things like cancer and transplant drugs. Tiers allow plans to control costs by encouraging enrollees to use less expensive, lower-tier medications. Sometimes a Medicare enrollee takes a drug not on the formulary or believes that the drug is in the wrong tier. In that case, the enrollee or their doctor can file an exception request with a statement outlining the medical necessity. Another thing to be aware of when it comes to costs is the infamous Medicare Part D coverage gap, or donut hole. Depending on an enrollee's annual spending on prescription drugs, the amount reimbursed by a Part D plan changes as the yearly total volume of drug purchases increases. For some enrollees, their total spending may rise to a level where they pay more for prescriptions. This is called the coverage gap or donut hole. For more information, Google Medicare donut hole. How do you go about getting Medicare Part D prescription drug coverage? There are 2 ways. First, with original Medicare, Part A and Part B, you can subscribe to standalone Part D plans offered by private companies. Second, you can enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan that offers prescription drug coverage. I cover information about Medicare Advantage plans in another video in this series. For this video, I'll concentrate on Part D with original Medicare. Like other parts of Medicare, Part D has specific enrollment periods. Switching or dropping plans can also happen during these times. There is the initial enrollment period, when one first becomes Medicare individual. The second is the open enrollment, which is from October 15th to December 7th, and then coverage begins on January 1st. Then there's the Medicare Advantage open enrollment, January 1st through March 31st. If you're already enrolled in a Medicare Advantage plan, switching to a new plan or an original Medicare happens during this period. And then finally, special enrollment. Events like moving or losing other company insurance may allow enrollees to make changes to their Part D plans. It also makes sense to enroll in Part D when signing up for Medicare or when losing coverage with another plan. Otherwise, adding it later might mean permanently paying more for the coverage. It's also important to note that those with Medicaid coverage don't need Part D because that program already covers prescription drugs. The process for buying Medicare Part D coverage is greatly simplified by using the online Find a Medicare Plan tool by going to www.medicare.gov/plan-compare. Go to the page and find the New to Medicare heading. Under that heading, click the icon for Learn More About Options. You will be prompted to enter your zip code, and then a screen will appear with one side devoted to original Medicare and the other side to Medicare Advantage. click Original Medicare. Then a screen will appear with the heading Your Medicare Coverage Options. Under the heading Add Extra Coverage, click the box for Drug Plan Part D. The screen will then update with the price range for Part D policies. When you are ready to look at specific plan types, click Look at Plans at the bottom of the page. On the subsequent pages, follow the prompts to find plan types and companies that offer the plans. Primary points of comparison between plans are monthly premiums, deductibles, copays, and co-insurance, pricing tiers, and the coverage gap or donut hole provisions. Some plans may help minimize the costs in this gap. I hope this information on Medicare Part D has been helpful.